Hello, I'm Francesco Ferro from Pal Robotics. You are listening to Transit Lounge Radio at Login 2018.
Wonderful. It's such a pleasure to have you in the Transit Lounge, Francesco. So can you tell me a little bit about your robotics company and what it is that you're doing?
Pal Robotics is a company made of 40 people now and is making humanoid robots since 2004. We are specialized on humanoids, but we are also providing different solutions for healthcare, for light industry, and also for retail. Like, for example, the Stockbot robot, that is a robot that is doing every day autonomous inventory stock, so management of the stock in a retail environment, so with the clothes and so on, based on RFID technology and also on vision.
And so these are really working robots. These are not pleasure robots.
Yes, it's not only for entertainment. We have also service robots that, yes, is giving us interaction, for example, in event. Just right now in Barcelona, we are attending a seal exhibition with the RIM robot, and so it's providing services through the touch screen, shaking hands, and interact with people. And so this is one other thing that we are doing. But then we are focus also providing a platform, robust platform for research and for innovation center.
I think I saw that your robots operate on Ubuntu, is that right?
Yes, that's it. But not only Ubuntu. Our robots are working also with the de facto standard middleware in robotics that is called ROS, that is Robotic Operating System. And so it's the de facto standard middleware, and this is very, very helpful for the research. And so all the researcher, the computer science can do a lot of very, very good stuff with robots. And we also put online open source simulation, so the dynamic model of the robots. And what we are doing, for example, with different university and students, they are using our robots online in the simulator, and then they can just test it remotely without changing any line of code. This is the point. Yeah.
That's amazing. So you're really very open in terms of like offering this technology to people to explore and to use to try and solve their challenges. So what are some of the ways that people are using it? What sort of things are you seeing happening in this research field?
What we detect in the last 14 years that we are working on robotics is that all the companies just think that we have the solution, so we can do whatever, so we can conquer the world, and this is not true. So now we are more and more in a connected world. We have to create connection, and we have to work together in order to solve the real challenges. So at the moment you can see that everybody's speaking about robotics, but where are the robots?
Indeed. I haven't spoken to a robot yet.
So this is a big gap. So in research, in university, they are doing incredible stuff, very good things in interaction, whatever. But in order to put it in the real world, there's a lot of work that has to be done. There's plenty of space on a lot of company. You can create a lot of work. And so this is exactly what we have to do, because this kind of robots that we firmly believe on service robotics can really improve the quality of life of our people.
And do you think, because I know that the robot Sophia was granted citizenship last year by Saudi Arabia, do you think that this is something that will continue? Do you think that robots will become citizens? I was reading that there are some there are some questions or concerns around this area, like what makes the robot actually unique? Because as a citizen, you have a unique identity. It's like your fingerprint, your iris, your DNA. So how can a sort of a robot actually be equivalent to a human in that way?
For sure, with Sophia, I think that is more a provocation than other things. But yes, the idea is there's a lot of things that now we are just facing in the robotics world, that is liability of the robots. What happened with an autonomous robot when something goes wrong? Look at Uber, for example, that had some issue with the autonomous car. What happened with this? And sometimes we have to be very careful in order to don't cross the line of ethics. There's also ethic robotics that just started after the creation of our company, because it was started in 2005 in Rome, in the ICRA, one of the most biggest EU conference all around the world about robotic automation. And the ethics is another big issue. But liability at the moment is important, because what's happened with all these robots? Because we fail, human face, but we have a responsibility behind. And what happened with robots? This is a big issue, and we have our solution, but we don't know. We have to make all together, find the right way in order to don't stop the innovation and the creation and the help of these robots in the real world just because of this. So there's different solutions, just take the best one.
So you do have a solution for this? Like, do you think the singularity is real? Do you think the robots will rise up and take over at some point?
No, at all. My point of view is that at the moment, robots is so smart and clever, take into account on the designer that is behind it. So at the moment, all the robots are controlled, and so there's the control. And from social point of view, there's another interesting things in robotics, that is, we have to take into account that the big, let me say, enemy of robotics up to some years ago, it was exactly the human, because we are very aggressive animals. So we used to kill whatever is a problem or could be a problem in the future. We did it with nature, with animals, and we constantly do it. As now, with the robots, we have demonstrated that could be very useful, and so thanks to that, we are now changing our things. That is something that, for example, in the east part of the world, it was completely different. It was already like this. Now we are changing with the collaboration, so we have more and more robots. People are not scared anymore, and so they can see the real, things that they can do with the robot, and this is a very important thing.
So you're actually advocating for the ethical treatment of robots. Yeah. Right. That reminds me, actually, looking at the design of your robot, there's something really cute and happy about it. It also reminds me, this is the Ream C, human-sized biped for service. It reminds me a little bit of the robots in Fritz Lang's Metropolis. You know, Maria, this sort of slightly Art Deco face. And I mean, in Metropolis, she came to a bad end. She was burnt as a witch, which was not so good. But you also have very different other styles of some of the robots. Tiago, collaborative mobile. Oh, that's a very different looking face.
And the Tiago, for example, is the acronym for take it and go. So it's a manipulator with only one arm, but it's very used now. We did a lot of pilot in healthcare, in elderly care, and also in the light industry for logistics tasks. And this one you can, if you see at the face of the robot, probably you can see, or you can see our inspiration, that from one side is a mix between Wall-E, E.T., and yeah, it's something that is also very helpful in order of appearance, because we love to communicate and interact with a human form. So it helps a lot, the communication and interaction with the human robots, if the robots have an appearance of humanoids. So this is exactly the point. For this reason, we try to have robots that are cute, but at the same time functional. For example, the Tiago have a very large workspace in order to take things from the floor, put up to 1.80 meters. It's something that could be very useful in our home, for example, and at the same time cute. So a lot of things could be done.
So you're making kind of robots more integrated with human society, I guess.
Correct. We have to think a robot like another tools that we could have, for example, in our home or also on the street, that could be helpful for us. So we have stopped to put all the focus on the robot, that the robot will do everything. No, the robot will be another tool that could make our life better.
And so what is your vision for the future, and how do we get there?
At the moment, I can say how we can get there. That is just putting a lot of passion, a lot of motivation is something that one of the messages that I send at the end of the presentation here in login. And the idea is that there's a huge amount of work that has to be done in order to make this robot better and better every day. And so this is how we can do this, with clever idea. And most of the time, the clever idea is not something that you can purchase it. So you can't go to the supermarket and take a clever idea. So it's something that has to be worked on with small teams, with clever people that could make things that works for real. Then, in my opinion, the closest future is to have more and more collaborative robot. And what I would really love to see is robot that could help at home. And so this is the real challenge. So having someone that could make my bed every morning, cleaning my clothes, and make the washing machine, and yes, probably also make some juice for me, and help in the house.
So you'd never be lonely again.
This is another thing that we experimented for real. So we have several pilots with robots in the houses, and um, at the end, after 1 week, more or less, people that see that the robot could be very helpful for some task, then have this kind of trust on the robot, and it's another companion. So it's a companion that you could have at home, that it can move and interact. So it's not only a screen like TV or tablet or your mobile phone or your smartphone, but it's something that you can interact with. And so it's something that could help.
You develop an emotional interaction with it, which I think, people are quite emotional with their smartphones even. They're like those sort of technologies that become an extension of us and that we're very attached to. Like, I think there are maybe some concerns or issues with the sort of emotional intimacy with a robot. Like, do you think that would replace humans in some way? Or do you think that it will be kind of in a very specific area that people are connected to, like their robot friends or companions?
Wow. It's very large, open question. So, speaking on the home task, for example, I think that the first thing has to be about use cases, so functionality of the robot. Then the companion and all this stuff is, in my opinion, consequences of it. Because yes, sometimes we have seen also with car that a lot of people call with a person name their own car because it's something that is useful for them. So they love it to go and driving and whatever. So it's something that will happen. But we have to don't forget that the first thing has to be the functionality. So we have to have the robot that is doing something and not only entertainment. Okay, so the robot has to be a tool more that could help us. And this is one side. Then from the other side about the job and all the other question, in my opinion, robots has to retake the place that it was still by humans at the moment. Because I visit a lot of industry, a lot of factories where the humans at the moment are the robots. And it's not a joke, it's something that is very bad. I've seen people working 8 or more hours making some very repetitive task that is not created any added value. And so I think that this person can help a lot in a different kind of jobs, and they are in some kind of obligate to make this because they have to earn something to have their life. So it's a big changes that we have to take into account, and this is something that is not only the roboticist or the politician that can do alone, but it's all the society. We have to seriously think about it, take all the opportunity, for example, to have a new courses, for example, to maintain the robot, to make the support of the robot. We are creating now with all the robotics company that are opening now a lot of jobs, and this is something that is changed. Like it happens with the internet and computer science. So 10 years ago, we never expected to have so many jobs about AI or whatever. So it's something that will change. So we will have different kind of jobs using more and more our brain, our capability, creativity also, in order to have smart solution. And this is something that, yes, is happening.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. Sounds like the future might be getting better. Thank you so much for joining me. It really was a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you, and thank you to everybody. Bye.